just like to say how excited we are to be a part of this. We believe that when children have a future that they can see is worth saving for, then that will help build hope and opportunity and prosperity for generations to come. So we're so excited to be doing this and hope to have many people join in our efforts. Thank you so much.
So that is Susan Dell, and she is the wife of Michael Dell, who Dell Computers, not a small company. It is interesting, and I'm trying to get to the bottom of this because the Dell thing is different from the Trump account. So it is the Martha Zoller show. We're trying to be the best that we can be. We're going to talk to Bill Crane today. We're also going to talk to Randy Davidson about the movie business because things have happened with the movie business here in Georgia. It's not that it's not still important. It's down a little bit. And it's because some European countries have started giving the same kind of credits that we do. And if you go to a place like the UK or Iceland or whatever, it's more compact and it's cheaper to do. So we're going to talk about all of that with Randy at 10:30 today. I'm really excited about that. But the Trump accounts we heard alluded to with a couple of interviews we did before Thanksgiving. And it's going to be with any child born from January 1st, 2026 to December 31st, 2028, there will be $1,000 put in an account that they can manage, that people can add to, can do that, but I don't think you can take it out for any reason. And it's going to teach this age of kids the compound interest. Now, I think if it's popular, you're going to see people wanting to extend this, and I think it's a great idea. I think it's a really great idea. And the Dell company has come out, and they've gone, the Dells, I should say, Michael and Susan Dell, who are Jewish, by the way, not that that matters, but, they're being very philanthropic, and they're not saying only give this to Jewish people, okay? They're saying any child under 10 years old whose family has an income of less than $150,000 a year, they're going to set up an account for them that people can add to and be a part of. So I think this is very interesting. And everybody wants to use the analogy of that Trump's playing four-dimensional chess. I don't know if that's what he's doing, but I think he's doing a lot of different ideas all at one time. He had a cabinet meeting yesterday, which was very big, and it's like the fourth one he's had so far with the press. There were questions, of course, about his health. There was question, and he doesn't have any problem with his health. Yeah, he's 79. I'm sure he has some things that 79-year-olds have. But he's not slow. The MRI, just as I had said 2 months ago, that if you're the president of the United States, or if you're Michael Dell for that matter, or if you are a CEO of some other kind of Fortune 500 company, your board, and in this case, we're the board because we're the American people, your board expects you to have a complete and full physical every single year with all kind of preventative scans that, you and I can't get without paying for them because you want to make sure that if there's anything wrong with somebody who's the leader of the free world, that you find out early what it is. So it's exactly what I thought it was. It's nothing. There's nothing wrong with him other than he needs to update his hair, and he probably could lose a few pounds. But who couldn't? All right? There's nothing wrong with him. He said in the meeting yesterday, and we're going to hear the audio later, if there's something wrong with me, I will tell you. But he also made a very clear and definitive statement about the fact that he is not going to be running in 2028. That one or two people from this table are going to be running. And, of course, that's alluding to J.D. Vance and Marco Rubio. But let me tell you who else is going to be running. Ted Cruz. He's running. Okay, so just don't be surprised to see him in this primary. And guess what? Little old Marjorie Taylor Greene did not show up for work this week. Okay, so, again, I don't want to be too hard on her. But there was a very easy path for her to do what she's doing, which is not run for re-election and not have a nasty primary, and that is finish out your term and not run for re-election. You asked for this job. You have let your people down, and there's going to be a messy primary, and then there's going to have to be another election in November. It's going to be like we were in 2010. Now, there's a little more audio I want to play that explains a little bit more about these Trump accounts as well as the Dell contributions. Here it is.
So nice of the Dell family, of the two of them, to give this money to help every American child born this year or in the future.
Yeah, I mean, it's remarkable. It is also, I think, the largest contribution to American children in history.
Really.
And what's amazing about this Dell announcement is that it's on top of the Trump accounts. So it shows you the power of investment. So the Trump accounts, which we're expecting more details on today, that was in the big, beautiful bill. The idea being $1,000 to get kids off on the right start. But it only has 2025 to 2028. The Dell announcement includes kids today who are 10 and under.
Really?
So kids that are already born, to say, hey, we want to help you as well. So
Wait. So 10
Yes.
and under, I would
Yes.
apply because I have a 10-year-old. So they're going to give every American family, is that right?
Yes,
$1,000?
No. So theirs is less than $1,000. The Trump accounts is $1,000.
Got it, right.
This is an additional investment. It seems that some of the money will go to kids that are born today.
Okay.
But they're also helping to cover kids that are already here to say, because of course the goal in part of this is to get kids off on the right foot.
Yep.
It's also to encourage families to say you can have kids. Because we're
great.
seeing these conversations, and I see this in my reporting. Young people feel that life is too expensive. They're worried about having kids and affording them. So this is a leg up.
Right.
Something else when it comes to financial education that's so important with these Trump accounts. One, you now see more investments like the Dells. Huge. On top of it, it's just barriers to entry. When you have that account set up, $1,000, you can contribute annually up to $5,000. But we know a lot of families can't do that. But if they can do $100 a year, because the account is already set up, it starts, the hardest part of finance is just getting in.
Right.
Opening that account.
Even
and
if
the
you
Trump
don't
accounts are going to do that.
So it was funny because Ainsley Earhart was getting a little confused. She would not apply because they're going to do it for kids who have a net worth, families have a net worth of less than $150,000 or income of less than $150,000. So she would not apply for that. And I just think it's so interesting and good that they're doing this. It's outside the box thinking. It's conservative ideas. I hope that what happens is that they don't have to go away from these conservative ideas one more time. Now, yesterday in District 7 in Tennessee, everybody said, oh, it's neck and neck, it's neck and neck. It ended up about a 9-point spread. It was not as big as Trump got it 2 years ago at plus 22%. But Marsha Blackburn 4 years ago only won this district by 0.6%. Because Nashville weighs you down in a kind of a blue way. Let's just put it that way. So it's good that this woman lost because look into this woman. She is so far to the left, she makes AOC look like a conservative. That's how far left this woman is. So I don't know how she got raised in Tennessee. I really don't, because it was one of those things that I thought was crazy. But it'll be interesting to see what happens here. So we did not lose a seat there. The House is safe for now. And folks, we got to make sure we win next November. We'll be back.
Keeping you up to date with the latest news and weather. It's what we do every day.
It's the news I trust.
North Georgia's News Talk. AM 550 and FM 102.9 WDUN. Always here, always local.
There's nothing quite like a local neighbor. That's why AARP is local, right here in Midtown Atlanta, to offer you free events and enriching experiences that help you with finances, family, and fun. We are in the community, connecting you to what matters most right when you need it. Visit our website at aarp.org/GA or visit us on social media at AARP Georgia to find out more information on how we're helping your money health, and happiness live as long as you do.
Hey there, it's Cody Lovin, owner of Crawl Space Medic. Is your crawl space giving you trouble? Maybe it's moisture, structural issues, or even foul odors? Don't worry, my team and I, we've seen it all. At Crawl Space Medic, we specialize in crawl space repairs, encapsulations, and basement waterproofing, ensuring your home's foundation stays solid and protected. We're all about delivering top-notch service you can trust with solutions that last. Give me a call at 706-410-2400 or visit crawlspacemedic.com for a free evaluation.
You already know Gainesville Mechanical for their award-winning HVAC service, but did you know they handle plumbing too? Because plumbing problems never happen at a good time, you need a trusted, experienced team there when they do. From small leaks to major repairs, Gainesville Mechanical is here for you with 24/7 no overtime rates through their Customer Assurance Maintenance Plan. Proud to be named Best of Hall for HVAC and plumbing, Gainesville Mechanical and Bryant, doing whatever it takes to keep North Georgia cool since 1989.
This is the time of the year most of us are checking off our holiday gift list. Identity thieves have lists too, and your personal information might be on that list. Protect your identity with LifeLock. LifeLock monitors hundreds of millions of data points every single second and alerts you to the threats you could miss yourself. If your identity is stolen, your own U.S.-based restoration specialist is going to work to fix it, guaranteed, or your money back. Make this season about joy, not identity theft, with LifeLock. Save up to 40% off your first year at LifeLock.com with the promo code BECK. Terms apply.
So Pure Talk is offering unlimited talk, text, and data on a crazy fast 5G network for just $29.95 a month for life. Not your phone's life, your life. This top-tier plan is normally $65 a month, but if you switch today, you'll save over 50% every month for the rest of your life. You might say it's the deal of your lifetime. Just dial pound 250, say Mike Rowe. Offer expires 12/7. Some restrictions apply. Details at puretalk.com.
Always here, always local.
From the Access WDUN Hardy Chevrolet newsroom, 2 people are dead from apparent gunshot wounds inside a home in Gwinnett County Tuesday. Details at Access WDUN and coming up on North Georgia's News Talk.
It's the Martha Zoller Show, presented by Gainesville Mechanical. From the Northeast Georgia Health System studio in downtown Gainesville on AM 550 and FM 102.9 WDUN.
Because I want to run against it, whether it's not going to be me, it's going to be somebody that's going to probably sitting at this table. Could be a couple of people sitting at this table. Could be a couple of people running together sitting at this table, you know. But I want them to win because we've done a great job for this country, and I want that to be carried forward. And you know, I think we have a tremendous bench, really a tremendous bench. But no, I think that Waltz is a grossly incompetent man.
It is the Martha Zoller Show, and that's Donald Trump saying it's not going to be me. It is not going to be me. We will not be, I will not be the person running for re-election, and it will be probably somebody at this table. Okay, so we got a question in about these Trump accounts. I have a grandchild due in January. I read that the Trump account is automatic. Does that mean parents will not need to apply for the $1,000, or is there still some sort of application process? Okay, here's how it works. Every child when they're born gets a Social Security number. Okay, and that's changed since I had my children, or I think that's right when it started, when they got your Social Security number immediately. So every child that is born, they need to have a Social Security number. Then the parents and others can contribute up to $5,000 a year into the account until the child turns 18. An employer may contribute up to $2,500 toward the $5,000 cap. State and local governments and private charities will be allowed to make broad contributions. No one may contribute to the accounts until July 2026. Other details are being ironed out. To claim an account, parents will have to check a box on a tax form testifying that they are new parents and that the law requires that the funds be invested in low-cost stock index funds, which mirror the performance of the S&P 500. Parent contributions are after tax, so that money is not taxable when it's withdrawn. Any earnings on the contributions, however, are taxed when you withdraw them. And then you cannot withdraw money from the account until the child turns 18. After that, it functions like a traditional IRA, which means that you can use it for education expenses and first-time home expenses without penalties. But, the thing about an account like this, you ought to not touch it till you retire. Okay, that's the whole goal. This is found money. You shouldn't be thinking about this as money that you can use. Thinking about it as money for your child's future. And then you get it in there. You can hold the money until retirement, and then the penalties go away. So it's more like a traditional IRA. The original idea was this was money that young people could use in their early adulthood. The Senate changed it to where it was more like a traditional IRA. I wish that it was more like money they could use in their young adulthood, but you can use the money for a down payment. And hopefully, if you've gotten into the habit of contributing on top of the $1,000, like whatever you might contribute, if you can't, a lot of people can't do $5,000 a year, but just imagine if you did $100 a year and your kid, when they got their first little job, put $100 a year in, and neighbors and other people put $100 a year in. Imagine what you would have when that child was 18 or when that child was 60. It's really a good thing, but, the devil's in the details, and we got to see how that works. But it does say you do not have to, quote, apply for it, but you will have to check a box on your tax return saying that you are new parents, and I'm sure it's going to be a new form that you have to check out for that. There's always a new form for everything. You can join us on the phones at 770-535-2911. It is it's a big, big challenge, I think, that we're seeing with this idea, because there's several things that has to happen. First of all, affordability is the new buzzword, okay? I've used it myself, all right? Because we are in this situation of we've having several years of high inflation. We've had lower inflation for the last 2 years, and but prices still haven't gone down that much. Gas is cheaper, which will impact the price of everything. Eggs are cheaper. Meat is more expensive. If you're going to eat meat, you're paying more for it. You've also seen, things. I was just on a cruise, and now they do everything where they charge you the tips. So everything's done electronically. It's kind of cashless and all that sort of thing. But I did get some services on the cruise ship. I went to the spa. I had my hair done. I got some help from the steward on different things. So I brought some cash to give those guys some cash, because really you're like an indentured servant when you work on a cruise ship. One of the reasons why they register these ships outside of the United States is so they don't have to follow United States labor laws, because these folks work 12-hour days minimum, and they are, they work very hard. They work until the job is done because they've got to do the job. So and they're gone for a long time. The guy that was my steward had been away from home for 9 months. And most of those folks, is really interesting. There's like this ethnic hierarchy, which I think is very interesting. Most of the staff in the cabins looks like they're Filipino or some kind of Southeast Asian folks. And the ones I talked to were all Filipino, but I don't want to assume that they were all Filipino by, quote, how they looked. But it looks like Southeast Asian. Then you had people that were the wait staff that were, yes, the Southeast Asian types, but also from other countries around the world. And then when you get into the folks that are a little higher up in the echelon, there's a lot of Italians, there's a lot of Portuguese, there's a lot of people from Slavic countries that are in that area. And then the spa, interestingly enough, was a contract with a spa company, and most of those folks were from Europe. So I just thought I didn't meet a single American that was working on the ship. I'm sure there are some that are Americans working on the ship, but I did not meet a single American working on the ship. So it was, and you had your tips automatically you put a credit card on it when you get on the ship, and they charge everything to you, including the tips when things happen. And some of the tips were paid for up front. So to me, what I don't like about that is that's not really a tip. A tip is what you give somebody for good service. If you haven't had the service yet, why are you getting the tip? Here's the trick here, though. In this case, it was Norwegian Cruise Lines. But they don't pay the tips out until the end of the cruise. And so they've gotten the money from the time you booked the cruise until you get off the cruise to invest and use and do all that kind of stuff so that they can then pay the person. So it is a way for these ship lines to make more money. And honestly, after COVID, they lost so much money during that period of time. They still have the situation where when you walk into the dining room, they spray your hands, and you have to do that to walk into the dining room. They still have signs up everywhere to open doors and things like that with a paper towel, which is kind of left over from COVID. You did see people with masks on. It was interesting because they don't worry as much about COVID now. They worry about norovirus, which, I'm not sure. I don't think I got norovirus. I think I just ate something that didn't agree with me. But I had a little gastro issue for a couple of days while I was on the ship. And it's kind of continued since I've been home, but I'm not running a fever or none of that kind of stuff, so I'm not sick. But it was a little challenging, let's just put it that way, getting it home. You can join us on the phones at 770-535-2911. We're going to keep talking about the issues of the day. Later on in the program, we're going to talk to Brian Morgenstern, who's going to answer our questions about these Trump accounts, because I can tell from the text messages I'm getting from you all that this is something you're really interested in, especially for your grandchildren. So we'll see about how that applies. And there's also a number of things that we're going to talk about related to the economy and the politics of the situation. Also, that Tennessee 7, which really shows you can get the vote out, and that Trump has not lost that much. This is called off-year elections, are always hard to predict, and they're a challenge. And I'd love to know if you're as hard on Marjorie Taylor Greene as I am, because I really think she has disappointed a lot of people. I know there's fans of hers that no matter what she does, it's okay. But do you think it's okay that she quit in the middle of her term and that she didn't go to work this week? What do you think about that? Should she get her paycheck if she's not going to work for the next month? We shall see. We'll be back.
Christmas is a season of giving. This is Mike Cormier, General Manager of Hardy Chevrolet. I know that giving is a challenge this year. That is why it's more important than ever. Hardy Chevrolet is a drop-off location for the Marine Corps Reserve's Toys for Tots program. Please come by and drop off a new unwrapped toy. With the help of local community agencies and churches, Marines will distribute them to needy children throughout our area. Help make this a Merry Christmas for all. And I'd like to extend best wishes of the season from all of us at Hardy Chevrolet, Brownsbridge Road in Gainesville.
My brother-in-law died suddenly, and now my sister and her kids have to sell their home. That's why I told my husband we could not put off getting life insurance any longer. An agent offered us a 10-year, $500,000 policy for nearly $50 a month. Then we called SelectQuote. SelectQuote found us identical coverage for only $19 a month, a savings of $369 a year.
Whether you need a $500,000 policy or a $5 million policy, SelectQuote could save you more than 50% on term life insurance.
For your free quote, call SelectQuote at 1-800-743-8080. That's 1-800-743-8080. Or go to SelectQuote.com. 1-800-743-8080. That's 1-800-743-8080.
SelectQuote. We shop. You save. Full details on example policies at selectquote.com/commercials.
If your outdoor Christmas display is visible from space, then log on to accesswdun.com. Light Up North Georgia is your chance to win a large turtle box, a stay at Lanier Islands Resort, or a Downtown Merchants gift card. Light Up North Georgia is sponsored by Jackson EMC and North Georgia's News Talk. WDUN Gainesville, WDUN FM Clarksville, Gainesville. Always here, always local.
It's 9:30.
Fox News.
News, I'm Therese Crowley. Knocking on doors in Minneapolis. Mayor Jacob Fry warns the city's 80,000 Somalis that 100 federal agents are conducting raids for illegal Somali migrants amid a huge corruption scandal where $1 billion of Minnesota taxpayer money was diverted to Somalia. Fry claims 3/4 of its Somalis are legal migrants and due process will be violated. Border Czar Tom Homan insisting to Fox.
There's going to be an increase of activity up there, and we're going to hold people accountable. We're going to enforce the law without apology.
AOC on the progressive take on affordability, not enough to swing Nashville from its red roots. Conservative former Army helicopter pilot Matt Van Epps wins the special election to Congress by nearly 9 points. Progressive rival Afton Banks says they'll be back.
Tonight is not the final result of what we wanted, but it is the beginning of something so powerful in Tennessee and across the South.
America's listening to Fox News.
Always here, always local.
From the Access WDUN Hardy Chevrolet Newsroom, I'm Steve Winslow. An investigation underway after 2 people were found dead in a home in Gwinnett County Tuesday morning. More from WDUN's Avery Bryson.
Gwinnett County Police said officers were called for a wellness check at the home on Clearwater Place off Lawrenceville Highway just after 11 a.m. When they arrived, they reportedly found 1 male and 1 female dead inside, with a gun also being found. No other details on the incident have been released. Police are also withholding the names of the 2 pending notification of next of kin.
A medical emergency was the cause behind a single vehicle wreck in Flowery Branch Tuesday morning. More from WDUN's Logan Landers.
The Georgia State Patrol says troopers were dispatched at around 8 a.m. to the home on Martin Road near Laurel Oaks Drive. After an investigation, it was determined 65-year-old Baron Lang of Jefferson lost consciousness while driving his Toyota RAV4 due to a medical issue and traveled down an embankment, striking the home. Lang was transported by first responders for minor injuries.
And Lake Lanier Association recently completed an initiative to prevent islands on Lake Lanier from disappearing. More from WDUN's Lawson Smith.
Project Armor is the latest phase in a decade-long initiative to prevent sediment from falling into the lake due to severe erosion. The project reinforced 5,280 feet across 16 vulnerable areas on Lake Lanier that have been impacted.
And you can find more details and more news online at Access WDUN. Now here's your Access WDUN weather forecast.
A few clouds. We're going to see afternoon sunshine. If you're not already seeing it, upper 40s for highs. Mostly clear skies with a few clouds later on tonight. Lows will be in the mid-30s. From the Access WDUN Weather Center, I'm meteorologist Holly Strano.
In Houston, 40 degrees. In Dahlonega, 38. And in Gainesville, 37. From North Georgia's News Talk, AM 550 and FM 102.9 WDUN.
There's no doubt a metal roof from Dawsonville Metal Products can improve your home's appearance, but you may not realize that it could also improve your bottom line. That's because metal roofing is more energy efficient than composite roofing, and it could also lower your insurance premiums. It's also maintenance-free and lighter than composite roofing. Find out more with a call to Jason Odom at Dawsonville Metal Products at 706-265-3099, and check them out on the web at dawsonvillemetal.com.
Use the Access WDUN Talk and Text line, presented by M&R Rental at 770-535-2911, and be part of the conversation. From the Northeast Georgia Health System studio in downtown Gainesville, it's the Martha Zoller Show on AM 550 and FM 102.9 WDUN.
You and I live in a city that has just elected our first anti-Zionist mayor, someone who believes that Israel does not have a right to exist as a Jewish state, only as a democratic one.
The reason he says that, if we want to really start peeling away the heart of his argument, he says that no state should be able to be defined on religious, ethnic, sectarian terms. The problem is, it's a standard that he does not apply
like
to
Pakistan.
To the 50-plus majority
states.
Muslim states. By the way, many of whose constitutions define themselves as Muslim states. Pakistan, UAE, Saudi Arabia, Malaysia. You can also look at Western states, the UK, Denmark. I mean, country after country have like state religions. Again, it's a standard he's applying to one place that he's not applying to any other.
It is the Martha Zoller Show. That's Dan Senor, who does a great podcast about foreign affairs and national security and does just a great job. And it is true. I mean, everybody wants to complain about there being a Jewish state, but they don't complain that there are 50 countries that are Muslim states that have state religions. There are many European countries that have state religions. In fact, we are in the minority of countries in the world that do not have a state religion. We have freedom of religion. You can practice any religion you want. We do not have a state religion. I think it's very, very, very interesting to see how this works. That it's only Israel that has to be held to this standard. Only Israel has to be held to this standard. And we're starting to see people see the truth on this by these hostages coming and speaking out. It's extremely important that we hear those stories. And I want you to give those hostages the same thing. You're supposed to believe the victims. You're supposed to, we didn't get that with the women who were sexually assaulted and murdered on October 7th. We didn't get the same kind of concern. Hey, we didn't get that from the girls from Boko Haram that are still missing, and people don't seem to care about it. We've got to understand that there are bad things that happen in the world, and if we do not stand up against them, and I don't mean us getting involved with boots on the ground, but be consistent with what you're talking about related to the issues of the day. Now, we got one text message on my question that if Marjorie Taylor Greene doesn't come to work, should she be paid? And they said no. And it's the same thing. I would love to see a bill go in place that if the government shuts down, or if you don't show up for work for a week because you're running for something else, you don't get paid. Let's go to the phones and talk to Frank in Gainesville. Hey, Frank, how you doing?
I'm good, Martha. I'm glad you got to go on a trip.
Thank you.
Sounds like you had a good time.
It was nice to be. Yeah, it was nice to be together with our entire extended family. It was great.
Well, that was wonderful. Clarification or something. I watched that thing about Trump, the Trump accounts. And the way I interpreted was that it's automatically put into the child's name, but you have to call in and claim it at some point. It's kind of like something in a bank account that they can't find you. So you have to call in and kind of claim that at some point.
Yeah, what it said here, and we're going to have someone on at 9:45 that's got all the details, but you do have to get a Social Security number, and then you have to file a tax form and check the box for it.
Yeah, and the other thing I'd like to ask you about, I've been kind of out of touch for a few months. The situation in Minneapolis and Minnesota, this fraud that's going on with the federal money. Whatever happened to the deal with Stacey Abrams? Has that ever been addressed where she got all that money?
Yeah, she's being investigated, and they have clawed back a certain amount of that money because it was given out so late in the term last time. But just to give our listeners a little background, there's a group that Stacey Abrams started that had to do with like replacing everybody's appliances or something like that. And the group had like $100 in assets, and then they got awarded close to $2 billion at the end of the Biden administration to use to put these new, I guess it's appliances, ovens and things like that. So she had no experience in that area, and the ruthless guys bring it up all the time. And I know that Pam Bondi is investigating. And last I read about it, Frank, and I need to get updated, was they were able to claw some of that money back.
But it was $2 billion.
Close to $2 billion. I don't know if it's exactly $2 billion, but hey, you get past $1.5 billion, and it's $2 billion. Yeah.
Well, that's what's so interesting, because the deal up in Minnesota, they're only talking about $1 billion, and it's making all this national news. I just wonder why this situation now with Stacey Abrams isn't getting so much attention.
I don't know. I mean, there are several outlets, especially the Ruthless Podcast, who bring it up all the time, the Stacey Abrams thing. But they also have talked extensively about Waltz because of him being from Minnesota and Josh Holmes being from Minnesota. But it is a very corrupt. There's a lot of people involved in this, and I think the fact that the monies were sent to a terrorist organization in Somalia is the reason why this is a little bigger case, I think.
Now, there is a Somali group in Atlanta, right? Pretty extensive.
I don't know. I know there's a lot of Africans. I don't know what country they're from.
Right. Well, I just thought it was kind of funny that it just occurred to me they were talking about all this stuff in Minnesota about $1 billion, like it was the end of the world, and I haven't heard anything about our situation here in Georgia.
Yeah.
Anyway,
thank you. I'll get an update on it. Appreciate it very much. Marty in Flowery Branch said MTG quitting for someone who shows herself to be tough and a fighter. The fact that she quit has me thinking that there is a more sinister reason for it, waiting for the other shoe to drop. I think it's been pretty negative. I think she hurt herself by quitting and makes me think that she's got some job lined up. And, I said last week, and I know y'all are going to throw something at me, but please keep your hands on the wheel if you're driving, is that I think that a lot of conservatives, even though they say they don't care about the mainstream media, they really want to be accepted by the mainstream media. And, she's been on this tour where she's done Bill Maher and she's done The View and she's done these other mainstream shows. Our so-called mainstream, lamestream is what some people call them. I wouldn't be surprised if she ended up on The View or something like that. And it would be really interesting to me to see if that's what happened. I think she's probably got a job lined up. I don't think she's going to stay in politics because the whole quitting thing is going to follow her around. And, as much as I am a Nikki Haley supporter, I continue to be, I think she has the great skills. It is problematic. The one problem I have with her is the fact she left early from being governor of South Carolina, and then she left early from her time as UN ambassador. And I think that if you can't finish a job, now the UN ambassador doesn't bother me as much because you are serving at the pleasure of the president, and maybe she got crossways with President Trump on something and she left in order to be gracious. We won't know the backstory on that, for years, but there could be a backstory there. But on her governor's situation, I don't like that. She ran for a 4-year term. She should have worked a 4-year term. That was a problem that Nathan Deal had to deal with, but he was able to make the case to the people because I think Karen Handel left a job early too. I just don't like that. If you go in, if your political opportunity means that you have to quit your term, then maybe you wait for the next opportunity. And I know that in the political world, you all think there'll never be another opportunity for me to do this. But that's not the way you should look at it. You are not God's gift to America. And I'm talking to candidates here. I love most of my candidates, but I don't believe in them anymore. You are not God's gift to candidates. And if you are running for a job and you win, then you ought to finish your term. We'll take a break.
In North Georgia,
it's the topics that matter to me.
We're your eyes and ears in the community with the latest breaking news.
It's the most important thing we face.
AM 550 and FM 102.9 WDUN. Always here, always local.
Whether it's a slip that ends in a slip disc, a trick knee that's holding you back, or shoulder pain hurting your game, you can count on Northside Hospital Orthopedics. With leading care in Georgia at convenient locations all across the state, we're here to get you back on your feet, no matter what comes your way. Because Georgia moves us, and we keep Georgia moving. Find a provider near you at northside.com/ortho. That's northside.com/ORTHO.
It's Mike Robertson of Oakwood Tire and More. As our name suggests, we can handle all your tire needs, but some have asked what we mean when we say and more. At Oakwood Tire, we're more than just tires. We also handle general repair. We handle alignments, brakes, AC service, suspension work. Speaking of suspension work, if you're looking to upgrade your ride, we can put tires, wheels, lift kit, anything like that on there. See us at www.oakwoodtire.com. Stop by at 3120 Atlanta Highway, where we're more than just tires.
Give something for Christmas that will last for generations to come. Give a one-of-a-kind jewelry piece from Gainesville Jewelry. Phil Forrester has put together his most beautiful collection yet. Diamond earrings in every style from studs to 6 carats, along with diamond bracelets and natural gemstones in every color. Plus, hundreds of unique estate pieces personally selected by Phil and Emily Forrester. Best of all, prices start at just $69. Give your special someone something special from Gainesville Jewelry, 1020 Jesse Jewell Parkway, open late Christmas Eve.
Psalms 23. The Lord is my shepherd, I shall not want. He makes me to lie down in green pastures. He leads me beside the still waters. He restores my soul. He leads me in the path of righteousness in His name's sake. Yea, though I walk through the valley of the shadow of death, I will fear no evil, for you are with me. Your rod and your staff, they comfort me. You prepare a table before me in the presence of mine enemies. You anoint my head with oil, my cup runneth over. Surely goodness and mercy shall follow me all the days of my life, and I will dwell in the house of the Lord forever. This is Mike Martin sharing God's Word, courtesy of Milton Martin Toyota, Georgia's oldest Toyota dealership. Come visit us at miltonmartintoyota.com or exit 17 off 985 Gainesville.
Always here, always local.
From the Access WDUN Hardy Chevrolet Newsroom, Flower Branch police arrest a suspect from an early Tuesday morning road rage incident on 985. Details at Access WDUN and coming up on North Georgia's News Talk.
It's the Martha Zoller Show, presented by Gainesville Mechanical, from the Northeast Georgia Health System studio in downtown Gainesville on AM 550 and FM 102.9 WDUN.
I think that's the wrong lesson to take away here. This is Trump did win it by 22, but Marsha Blackburn in the midterm in 2018, when Trump was unpopular, only won the district by half a point. So Matt Van Epps is going to win it by 9 tonight. And the lesson to take away from this is Democrats picked their own candidate. They had 3 state representatives running. They picked the liberal wingnut, the person who said she hated country music, she hated Nashville, she was uncomfortable with prayer, she wanted to bully state troopers. That's the problem Democrats face in primaries all over the country in 2026, that they may nominate a left-wing nut who can't win the general.
Well, it is the Martha Zoller Show, and of course, we won that election yesterday in Tennessee, as I knew we would, and thank goodness for the context of, what Marsha Blackburn did 4 years ago in an off year versus or 8 years ago in an off year. Wow, 6 years ago. Time is flying. Anyway, Brian Morgenstern is here. He is the Senior Vice President of Public Policy at Riot Platforms, and I appreciate you being with us today. How are you?
I'm doing great. Great to be back with you. Thank
you. We're getting a lot of questions about these Trump accounts, and I think people are getting confused because right on the heels of it, we had this Michael and Susan Dell announcement, and they're not exactly the same thing. So can you kind of give us a quick bullet point rundown on what people can expect?
Yes. So in 2026, parents who have children between, I believe it's 25 and 2028, they will get a Trump account where they will file a form with the IRS, and you get $1,000 deposited from the government. You can also contribute up to $5,000 if you choose to. And that is, in essence, an investment account for your baby. And this is important because, as Albert Einstein said, compound interest is the 8th wonder of the world. He who understands it earns it. He who doesn't pays it. And Senator Ted Cruz, who sponsored the legislation, outlined what could happen for a family that maxes out the contributions for their baby born next year. By the time they're 17 or 18, that child would have $170,000 if the S&P 500 continues to grow as it has. And by the time they're 35, they would have $700,000. So this is teaching new Americans how to be savers, how to be investors, how to participate in the ownership economy. This is particularly important because, as we've seen inflation raging during the Biden years especially, what happens is people who live paycheck to paycheck see their purchasing power go down. So the poor get poorer. But people who own things, the value of those assets go up. So as Pierre Polivier in Canada said, you have a situation of the have-yachts and the have-nots, and that creates a societal instability. You don't want that yawning gap between the rich and poor. You want everybody to succeed. So that's what this is about. It's about helping Main Street American families succeed by teaching babies how to be savers rather than spenders. I think it's a very interesting, innovative idea, and it's a very good cultural adjustment for the country.
So the House version of this was that this money could be used in early adulthood for things like housing down payments and paying for college and that kind of thing. The Senate bill, as you pointed out, Ted Cruz adjusted it more like an IRA. But it still has those abilities to take money out for school and but you know, when you look at the Galveston example from a number of years ago, the people that took money out for those emergencies didn't have as much at the end as the people who didn't. I mean, it's a pretty clear thing. So are you happy with how it ended up? And do you think that the first version was better or the one we have is better?
I think the way it ended up is fine. I mean, the parents manage it until the child's 18, and the child can start drawing down after that point, should they need to. I think it's an okay place to land. I think Senator Cruz in particular has spoken quite a bit about how, Social Security is on an unsustainable path. We always hear about the year in which Social Security is going to go bankrupt. So we have a problem in terms of our social safety net. I think encouraging Americans to take control of their own destiny is the right way out of this. And I think they landed in a pretty reasonable place here.
So then Michael and Susan Dell step in, and they talked about a $6.5 billion investment in children that are in America, 10 years old and under. And I think there's a income cap on that, correct? Family income?
That's right. It's in areas where the median income is under $150,000.
Okay. So that's still a lot of kids, and it's roughly around $250. That's the number I've seen.
That's right. That's right.
Well, that's exciting, too. I mean, I've got grandchildren now, and I'm trying to teach them that lesson. It's funny how people, hopefully what you hope your children do is not make the same mistakes you did, right? So I was from the era where when I first went to work, interest on credit cards was deductible. You remember that? Remember that in the early days of the 80s? So I did not, even though I worked from the time I was 16 years old, I did not learn to save until I was about 30. And that was something my husband and I did together. And we were both behind the eight ball a little bit because we had our children young. We had a lot of expenses. We didn't, he was going to medical school, all that kind of stuff. And so we didn't get into it as quickly as we should. But since we were 30 and we're 66 and 71, we've been maniacal about it, and we've saved everything we can, and we're both self-employed, so everything we have we've earned or earned interest on. And it's gone pretty well for us. But at the same time, what I tried to do with my kids are doing it better. They all started saving in their 20s, and we were able to give them that gift of no student loans. So they had no student loans. They got their education to whatever level they wanted to get their education, and then they were able to go on from there. So all of our kids are doing better than we did. And what we're hoping now with our grandchildren is that they have the 529s and all that kind of stuff that we give to for education. And, you try to make sure they don't make the mistakes you made.
Yeah, absolutely. And my parents were good about teaching me at a fairly young age, how to think about saving. I really did have, throughout my early education, it was lacking financial literacy education, where I really learned about this power of compound interest and what this policy really is designed to promote. I didn't learn about that until college, where I was getting a degree in government. I went to Georgetown, liberal arts, and I took a finance class for people who aren't in the business school. And that's when I learned these basic principles, and it opened my eyes, and I started investing, and I started thinking of ways to save and thinking of ways to look at the future. Every dollar I spend now is dollar that's not going to earn compound interest, over the next 50 years. So I think this is one of the most important lessons, financial literacy, that you can teach young Americans. And so that's why I'm so bullish and happy that they're implementing this policy.
Yeah, there's a church in Atlanta called Cascade United Methodist Church. It's a historically black church, and they have a little bank in their church where they teach the kids how to make deposits and how to do that from a young age. And I think it's fantastic. I think it's a great model because it measures the charitable side of it as well as the saving side of it, which I think is great. Also, I'm on the State Board of Education in Georgia, and we just changed our economics requirement to be, yes, half theory. We still teach the theories, but we are also doing personal finance. We were too theoretical and not enough personal finance. And so we're getting back to that because, when I was young, we all had home ec and shop. And in home ec and shop, you learned basic budgeting. You learned how to balance a checkbook. You learned about investment. You learned about mortgages. That was a part of those classes. And when those classes went away, and we got so focused on getting every kid to college, we lost some of that economic education that we had. So we're trying to do it better. And there's a great guy, Dale Alexander in Georgia, that he has this book called The Talk About Money, like it's a talk about sex, the talk about money. And he teaches kids about saving from your first paycheck all the way through, that even a person with a basic income of $35,000 or $40,000 a year can save for retirement if they do it this way. So there's lots of ways to approach this, and I think this is a step in the right direction, Brian.
Oh, absolutely. And, I started off this conversation by talking about how the inflation puzzle the country's faced over the last number of years really highlighted this issue of people who own things and who save can weather economic storms and can have a stable future for their families. The people who are not savers and they're living paycheck to paycheck are the most challenged in those circumstances. So this is a really important life lesson, and this is a great way to implement it to get every single American invested in the success of our overall economy. The ownership economy, I think, is going to be a much happier and more stable society that we live in. It's just such a crucial lesson to teach kids. So very happy to see this innovation in policy making.
If people want to know more about your work, how can they find it?
Sure, you can find me on X at MorgansternNJ. That's where I usually post updates about Bitcoin and AI and all these economic developments.
Ooh, we're going to have to talk about Bitcoin next time. Thank you so much for being with us today. Lots more to come right here on The Martha Zoller Show.
Does your office technology slow your team down? Nothing is more frustrating than printers that jam, copiers that won't connect, and service providers that don't follow through. You and your team deserve technology that works. I'm Matt Nick, president of Duplicating Products, and for over 50 years, we've helped North Georgia offices eliminate bottlenecks, reduce downtime, and get reliable support for office technology. Our promise, we do what we say we will do. If you're tired of office equipment headaches, it's time for a change. Visit us today at duplicatingproducts.com.
This is the time of the year most of us are checking off our holiday gift list. Identity thieves have lists too, and your personal information might be on that list. Protect your identity with LifeLock. LifeLock monitors hundreds of millions of data points every single second and alerts you to the threats you could miss yourself. If your identity is stolen, your own U.S.-based restoration specialist is going to work to fix it, guaranteed, or your money back. Make this season about joy, not identity theft, with LifeLock. Save up to 40% off your first year at LifeLock.com with the promo code BECK. Terms apply.
It all comes down to this, folks.
Yep, the entire season is on the line. But my throat has officially thrown in the towel.
Sounds like you need Vicks VapoCool drops. Their max strength and vaporize sore throat pain.
Whoa! These VapoCool drops hit fast.
Speaking of fast, did you just see that play?
Yeah, he vaporized that ball.
That pun should have come with a penalty.
Vaporize sore throat pain with Vicks VapoCool drops. Use as directed.
WDUN Gainesville, WDUN FM Clarksville, Gainesville. Always here, always local.
It's 10 o'clock.
Republicans are going to have a slightly bigger House majority.
I'm Dave Anthony, Fox News. After Matt Van Epps won a special election in Tennessee, taking a vacant seat that had been held by the GOP.
He's a patriot, a combat veteran. He's going to be a great member of this team, and I cannot wait to administer the oath to him.
House Speaker Mike Johnson also just told Fox
Democrats put millions of dollars in. They were really trying to set this narrative that there's some sort of wave ongoing. There's not. We just proved that there's not.
Van Epps beat Democrat Afton Bain by 9 points in a district President Trump carried by 22 points last year. Trying to counter the Democrats who keep saying the economy is worse and less affordable since President Trump took office, he plans to announce later today new fuel efficiency standards aimed at lowering car and SUV prices. Still no end in sight to the war in Ukraine, despite Special Envoy Steve Witkoff and Russian leader Vladimir Putin talking after midnight Moscow time on a peace plan the U.S. is brokering. Secretary of State Marco Rubio tells Fox's Hannity,
"You can't end the war between Russia and Ukraine without talking to Russia. Right. But you also have to take into account the Ukrainian position. They've been very brave in how they fought."
This hour, Hamas plans to hand over more remains to Israel to finish complying with the ceasefire that halted the war in Gaza. The day after a body returned was a disappointment.
Hamas spun another web of its lie by claiming they were releasing one of our final 2 hostages in captivity. Instead, the findings that we received were not linked to any of our deceased hostages at all.
Israeli spokesperson Shosh Bedrosian. The manhunt is over in Georgia for an escaped prisoner. Timothy Shane was captured overnight. He'd fled a hospital early Monday while being treated after a suicide attempt in jail.
He ran off, stole an SUV, crashed it in downtown Atlanta, and ran again, believed to be with a handgun taken from the SUV. He was seen stealing another car, at some point acquiring clothes and shoes, abandoning that car in a supermarket parking lot, then taking an Uber to a home where police did not find him. Shane was caught after being seen knocking on doors in Covington, Georgia, about an hour away from the initial escape.
That's Chris Foster. America's listening to Fox News.
Always here, always local.
From the Access WDUN Hardy Chevrolet Newsroom, I'm Steve Winslow. An investigation underway after 2 people were found dead in a Gwinnett County home Tuesday morning. WDUN's William Daughtry reports.
Gwinnett County Police said officers were called for a wellness check at the home on Clearwater Place off of Lawrenceville Highway just after 11 a.m. When they arrived, they reportedly found 1 male and 1 female dead inside, with a gun also being found. No other details on the incident have been released. Police are also withholding the names of the 2 pending notification of next of kin.
A Gainesville man behind bars accused of felony neglect of an elderly family member as police in Gainesville arrested 35-year-old Ajani Omari Lee after an investigation that started in October when Lee's elderly relative, who was in the primary care of Lee, was found to have suspicious injuries when at Northeast Georgia Medical Center.
A very serious case, someone that has those open wounds, those third-degree burns across their body. It's just something unfathomable that you could imagine someone putting someone else through.
Gainesville Police Lieutenant Kevin Holbrook adds that Lee is in the Hall County Jail without bond. And Georgia Department of Transportation reminds drivers that utility work associated with State Route 441's Phase 2 widening project in Raven County is ongoing this week. More from WDUN's Avery Bryson.
Georgia Power Transmission began work at Pinnacle Road and Claiborne Street on December 1st, installing new power poles and running new overhead transmission lines. The work will continue through Thursday, December 11th, weather permitting. GDOT says the presence of heavy equipment will require intermittent traffic disruptions in the immediate area of the 2 roadways. The department urges motorists to use caution in the area as work continues.
And the Lake Lanier Association has completed the latest phase of its shoreline protection project as Project Armor reinforced 5,280 feet, exactly 1 mile, across 16 vulnerable areas on Lake Lanier that had been impacted by severe erosion. The association says the project prevents more of the shoreline from falling into the lake, which prevents nearby areas from becoming too shallow for boaters and protects the drinking water supply for the communities that rely on Lake Lanier. You can find more details and more news online by going to Access WDUN. Now, here's your Access WDUN weather forecast.
A few clouds, not hurting a thing because we're going to see afternoon sunshine. So look forward to that if you're not already seeing it. Upper 40s for highs. Mostly clear skies early with a few clouds later on tonight. Lows will be in the mid-30s. From the Access WDUN Weather Center, I'm meteorologist Holly Strano.
Right now in Cornelia, 38 degrees. Coal Mountain reporting 37 degrees. And in Gainesville, 39. From North Georgia's News Talk, AM 550 and FM 102.9 WDUN.
This is Mark Turner with Select Pest Control, and my grandkids want to tell you a story.
'Twas the night before Christmas, when all through the house,
not a creature was stirring, not even a mouse. 'Cause they called Select Pest Control, duh. Select Pest Control wants to wish you Merry Christmas.
If you want to have a pest-free Christmas, give Select Pest Control a call at 770-536-8837. And Merry Christmas.
Waste Eliminator is a full-service waste management company providing critical disposal, recycling, and environmental solutions for business and residential clients. From large-scale commercial projects to smaller residential cleanups, Waste Eliminator offers reliable dumpster rental service tailored to your needs. Whether you're tackling a renovation, new construction, or even a simple home cleanout, Waste Eliminator will manage the waste efficiently and sustainably. Visit online at wasteeliminator.com.
Talking about the issues that affect you most. It's the Martha Zoller Show, presented by Gainesville Mechanical. Now from the Northeast Georgia Health System studio in downtown Gainesville, here's Martha Zoller on AM 550 and FM 102.9 WDUN. Always here, always local.
But you always find something new, like, is he in good health? Biden was great. But is Trump in good health? I sit here, I do 4 news conferences a day. I ask questions from very intelligent lunatics, you people. I give the right answers. There's never a scandal. There's never a problem. I give you answers that solve your little problems. You go back and you can't find anything, but you do stories about Biden was in wonderful health. The guy didn't do a news conference for 8 months. If I go one day, I had one day where I didn't do a news conference, there's something wrong with the president.
It is the Martha Zoller Show. I mean, Bill Crane is with me right now for Crane's Corner. I love this Donald Trump. I do. When he's funny, he's self-effacing, he gets out there, and, you know, he's right. He has press conferences every time there's press around and has answered probably thousands of questions. Bill, are you there?
Yeah, I'm here. I'm sorry. I didn't know that was a question.
It's a comment. It's a comment.
He is much more engaged with the media. Now, he doesn't love all of them, and sometimes he's brusque with some of them, particularly when he doesn't like the question. But he is much more engaged, much more transparent, certainly than the Biden administration was. He has looked like he's having a little trouble staying awake, and he has looked a little fatigued at some public events. But I wouldn't be ringing 5-alarm fire. He is 78 years old. Yes. And he's been keeping a pretty dynamic schedule for the better part of 6 months now, and it tears into you.
Yeah, and this whole idea of, he had an MRI. Look, I don't care if you're Donald Trump or you're the CEO. I bet the CEO of Apple, any Fortune 500 company, they don't have physicals like you and I have, Bill. They do everything with these guys, these high-level guys and gals that are in these high-level positions, because they want to make sure that they catch anything that's wrong with them early.
Right, and if there were any concerns about cognition or any concerns about mental acuity, that one of the things you do is an MRI.
Yeah,
and maybe he doesn't, maybe he doesn't know, or maybe he doesn't want to say they scanned my head, but having had multiple CT scans, it's not all that difficult. You take the prep, you lay in a tube, and you're done.
Yeah, and he said. They did bring it out and say that, and he said himself, if there's anything wrong, I will tell you. I will tell you if there's anything wrong. So I thought he handled himself well. Now, it's very interesting, the pushback we're getting related to Marjorie Taylor Greene, Bill, from my listeners. Okay, so a lot of my listeners liked Marjorie Taylor Greene a lot. They don't like how she's exiting the stage. This is just a message I got from somebody today. On Marjorie Taylor Greene, I saw a light go on when Bill Maher informed her that high-ranking leaders like J.D. Vance are living on military bases. He's not living on a military base. He lives in the vice president's residence. But
Blair House.
He have high security. I'm like the other caller. I think she went home and looked into it, and there's something happening or happened that she didn't want to be a part of, and found out she wasn't in the crowd anymore. She should only get runoff pay She's owned like anyone else who leaves a job suddenly. I mean, I've had a lot of people say she didn't come to session this week. Okay, she's leaving. She's got short timers. She's leaving on January 5th. But the reason she gave was she didn't want a nasty primary. Well, all she had to do to keep from having a nasty primary is not run for re-election and finish her term out. I just don't like it when elected officials don't finish their terms.
Well, there's still weeks in budget to be done before January the 5th. I don't think she's going to abandon Washington or her post until January 5th. But, I don't have any close sources around Marjorie Taylor Greene. She's due that pension. It's going to be, roughly $10,000 a year. I think $8,700
a year
would be the current figure. She doesn't get that until she retires. I think she's 52, so 13 years from now, she'll receive $10,000 a year. She's entitled to that if you serve 3 terms in the U.S. House or 1 term in the U.S. Senate, based upon your seniority, the number of years you served, and the compensation at that time.
Yeah, it's actually 4 years. 4 years you get fully vested.
And she's entitled to that. It's not a lot of money. It's a speck in the ocean, and quite frankly, she's a wealthy woman. Between Taylor Construction and the investment she's made while she's in Congress, she doesn't need the money. She could forego it, but I don't begrudge her or any other member of Congress from taking what they earned.
No, I don't begrudge that. That part I don't begrudge is that her reason. The only funny thing I've ever heard AOC say was that, she quit after getting a week's worth of criticism from Donald Trump. I've been getting it for 5 years. I thought it was funny. I thought it was very funny.
That is funny. And the jury is still out if Marjorie Taylor Greene is going to immediately jump into another political race, or if this change in temperament and demeanor is permanent. You and I both have met her in a business setting as an advertiser, that Marjorie Taylor Greene. And I think if she had put more of that Marjorie Taylor Greene forward, she might be in a better position in Washington than she is now. But the more strident, polarizing political figure that she became, that was a choice. It was very effective in moving her out of the pack and making her sort of a national figure. It will be interesting to see how or why or how she translates that. I don't think she's going to become a talking head. There's some people that think she's going to go to work for Fox. I don't believe that's going to happen.
Oh, no.
She had no desire to be in the Senate. So I think she still may join the governor's race in 2026 here in Georgia.
Now, I have a little different view on that, where I think that even though we conservatives complain about the mainstream media all the time, we really want to be liked by them. And I think
get the coverage.
Yes. I think that she might end up on The View. She might end up doing something, more mainstream. I don't think she'll be on Fox because I don't think she didn't fit the mold for Fox.
And if she went to Newsmax or OAN, she's actually a smaller audience than she has now.
Yes, absolutely. So it'll be interesting to see what happens now. It looks like Colton Moore is going to be in that race, a guy that is a staff person for Marjorie Taylor Greene, who's pretty well known up there, even though I don't know who he is, but he's known because he's worked in the district for like 13 years. He was a holdover from Graves and then worked for Marjorie Taylor Greene. So he's well known there. And there is a little bit of a history of those kind of people. Rob Woodall was a staff person for John Linder, and he was able to run and hold the seat for a while.
The most of the fair tax books.
Yes. So I think that is going to be something to watch. But what's sad about it, and the thing I hate the most about it, is the fact they're going to have to do a special election and then another election in November. Now,
they may end up voting 5 times in that district between now and the end of 2026 because they have the interim district election, then they have the 2-year election, and they're going to be primaries and runoffs at that. So, yeah, they may have voters.
That's what we did in 2010 here when Nathan Deal resigned. And, Nathan was able to get past that. I mean, there were people that asked about it, but it didn't hurt him. Karen Handel had left a job early, okay? And so that, I don't know if that hurt her or not.
He resigned early to create the seat that Marjorie Taylor won.
That's right. And then there's also other people that have left early. Nikki Haley. I'm a big Nikki Haley supporter, but she left her second term of governor 2 years in and left being ambassador. Now, the ambassador thing doesn't bother me as much because you do serve at the pleasure of the president, and she may have gotten crossways with President Trump, and it may have been a gracious way for her to get out was to resign. But it is, I think what I don't like about it, you tell me if I'm crazy here, Bill, it's that political jobs are different than regular jobs because you ask for them, you pursue it, you raise money, you beg people to vote for you. That's a whole different ball game than just going and applying for a job.
I agree with you that politicians, elected officials, should finish the office that they ask us to put them in, that we're often, many of us, financial donors and contributors and supporters to. But I also recognize timing is everything in politics. And when a seat, like an open seat, comes available, or when a president calls and asks you to serve, it's very difficult to envision, if your aspirations are higher office, not grabbing that brass ring.
Yeah, I get it. I just think it's going to be interesting to see. I'm going to be watching closely. I think she is, I don't think she's done, but I don't know that politics is where she's going to end up. She could end up somewhere else. I don't know. Maybe she'll go back to Taylor Construction. I don't know. Because, I think we're going to have a construction boom if interest rates start coming down and all this talk about building more affordable housing all over the place. Who knows? There could be a construction boom.
I'm a Taylor Construction customer. They redid wonderfully my gutters like 10, 12 years ago, and they've started flooding my mailbox with, do your kitchen, do your this. So I think they're definitely going to be making a push.
Amen to that. Bill Crane, thanks for being with me today. I appreciate it very much.
Take care.
We're going to take a break, and when we come back, we'll take you to the bottom of the hour.
The follow-up is so important in business and on our show. This is Phil Benelli on the next edition of North Georgia Business Radio X. We're following up with architect Greg Venable from Draw Studio. We'll look at what he's learned so far in his business. We hope to draw your attention Saturday at 3 on WDUN.
Shopping for your spouse on the holidays is tough, especially when your spouse is Santa and his little elves can make him whatever he wants.
We can make it for Santa, Santa, Santa.
Once, I knitted him a tummy control onesie to get down chimneys, and the elves one-upped me and made him a magical shrinking suit.
And we're awesome! Like a big poinsettia blossom.
It's like I can't win. But then I did win. I found the holiday scratchers from the Georgia lottery, and those pesky elves can't make that. You hear that, elves?
Give the gift of up to $3 million with the holiday scratchers from the Georgia Lottery. Please play responsibly. Always check and sign your ticket.
Do you want to be one of Georgia's first 3 millionaires of 2026? You could when you play the new Georgia Millionaire Scratcher and enter the second chance promotion for a drawing on New Year's. So grab a Georgia Millionaire Scratcher from the Georgia Lottery at your favorite retailer today.
Tune in to WSB Channel 2 for your official Georgia Lottery drawing and check out the Players Club at GALottery.com.
During this Christmas season, I'd like to take a few minutes to tell you what I'm grateful for. This is Kevin Tharp, elder law and estate planning attorney, and I'm grateful for my God and my family. I'm thankful for the opportunity to minister to my parents, which helped me to better serve my clients. I'm grateful for my clients and their confidence and trust, and I'm thankful for our loyal listeners to Truth in Planning. Merry Christmas, and if I can talk to you about your needs, please log on to KevinTharp.com.
Some car dealers want to sell you a car. At Hardy Chevrolet, we'd rather help you find the vehicle that's right for you. This is Mike Cormier. We call it the Hardy Chevrolet difference. Since you're the one who will be in the driver's seat of that new Chevy, we think you should be in the driver's seat when it comes to making the selection. It's like Charles Hardy always said,
we love you and we need you.
Together, let's drive. At Hardy Chevrolet, Browns Bridge Road in Gainesville, online at hardychevrolet.com.
On-time service and experience matter for your home's heating and air system. For more than 40 years, Conditioned Air Systems has been North Georgia's solution for residential HVAC installation, maintenance, and repair. Family-owned and operated, we deliver the highest quality service on any brand and model with no hidden fees, promising 100% satisfaction guaranteed. Comfort you can feel, quality you can trust. Visit conditionedairsystems.com to schedule an appointment.
Always here, always local.
From the Access WDUN Hardy Chevrolet Newsroom, Cornelius commissioners fail to motion future hearings on a proposed annexation project from a Georgia developer. Details at Access WDUN. And coming up on North Georgia's News Talk.
Use the Access WDUN talk and text line, presented by M&R Rental at 770-535-2911, and be part of the conversation. From the Northeast Georgia Health System studio in downtown Gainesville, it's the Martha Zoller Show on AM 550 and FM 102.9 WDUN.
Well, first of all, there's lessons to be learned from everything. When you win, there's lessons. When you lose, there's lessons.
And so I'm sure they'll look and see who turned out and what messages were effective and which ones weren't, and that'll be something the party can move going forward. It's an off-year special election. The turnout matrix is far different than a presidential, and it'll be different than what comes out in November. So you can take nothing for granted, of course, and Republicans do have historical headwinds. I still think they are in position to make an argument that their economic theories are better than the Democrats' theories. And Democrats, after all, took prices to the moon, and now they want to forget the last 4 years and pretend like this just started 10 months ago. I think most voters know that's patently ridiculous. I do have a slight disagreement with David. I do think we'll hear from her again. I think she'll run again, and I think she and her brand of politics are the median Democrat. This is the basic Democrat you're going to get in most races around the country. This person running on defund the police, radical progressive positions, whether you're in Nashville or Manhattan or Florida or California, wherever you happen to be, this is what the Democratic base wants. The most cuckoo for Cocoa Puffs person they can find, and they're going to look at these results and say, hey, this is how we got so close, so let's replicate it around the country. I think we'll hear from her and her kind for the next year. I don't think it'll be good for Democrats.
But can I ask so it's going to be really interesting to watch this midterm election. I think there's two tracks we can look at. On the one hand, people like Harry Enton at CNN is saying there's a blue wave forming, okay? And a year out from 2022, they were calling it a red wave, okay? I think what we're learning from this, and we should have learned, but we don't want to see it because we want to believe our own stuff. Polling is you-know-what, okay? Polling cannot get the good results that it used to. The best polling out there on Trump, this is interesting. Logan, I want to know what you think about this. The best polling out there on Trump in 2024 was something called the neighbor poll.
Okay.
And what that means is, and there was a guy that off of this polling bet on the futures of whether Trump was going to win or not and won $80 million because he went to the neighbor poll. And what it is a lot of people don't want to say who they're voting for. So what the question was, who do you think your neighbor's voting for?
Okay. Interesting.
And that the neighbor voting poll was different than the who you're voting for poll. And it was more correct to what actually happened. Now, maybe you voted for your neighbor. I don't know. But I thought it was so interesting because it was a poll that was created in order to bet off of. And it worked for this guy. He won $80 million.
Winning that is an insane amount of money for him to win. Oh, my goodness. I'm surprised I'd never heard of that. But
his company
his
won
company, yeah.
$80 million. But I just thought, but I can see that because there are people. I was in New York in 2016 with my daughter. It was raining and the show doors hadn't opened up yet, so we stepped into a bar that was right next to the theater. There's bars everywhere in New York. Yeah. Stepped in, sat down. Nice guys let us sit down. It was crowded. They were very gentlemen. We were talking, and the guy comes to whisper in my ear, not at Sweet Nothings, but I'm voting for Trump. When they found out I was from the South.
Oh, okay.
And that we were conservatives. I'm voting for Trump. Now, Trump did not win New York.
Right.
But he did better in New York than people thought he would. And that idea, that concept of you can't say it out loud, but you really are voting for this crazy, who people thought were crazy.
Right, at the
I'm
time.
not saying Trump's crazy, you MAGA folks out there. I'm saying that's what people thought.
I bet they don't take that out of context. But
yeah.
How far we've come over the last nearly 10 years at this point with how, like I said, back whenever you went to New York with your daughter, where it was kind of like, hey, that's who I'm voting for this year.
Yes.
And then now, we've seen the MAGA movement with the hats and the picket signs and everything like that. You go by, especially, here in Hall County, it's feel like every fifth house or something, you'll see a banner or someone with a flag waving it out there and showing their support.
So you're right, 10 years. He came down that escalator in July of 2015. So that is 10 years ago.
It is, wow.
That we have been in the Trump universe. And you heard him say back, I think it was in the second segment or third segment, where we had the audio of Trump saying, yeah, there's 2028, it's not going to be me. In his words, it's not going to be me. He's been toying with people, okay, for the last few months, and I love that he does that. Yeah, maybe I'll do it. Maybe I'll do it. It's like the Ruthless Guys said, go into your Thanksgiving dinner wearing a Trump 2028 hat and see what happens to your liberal family members. But it's so funny because He said it could be two people at this table. He has been reluctant to say who he's going to support. That is as close as he's come. And you know he's talking about J.D. Vance and Marco Rubio. That's who he's talking about.
Right, but like I said, he has not explicitly said anything yet, but he's kept it close to the chest. But you'll see he drops hints every now and then, like we played in that audio. He'll say, oh, hey, might be someone here at this table.
I did love his demeanor yesterday. I think we need to see more of that. We need to see more of, kind of funny, but still biting. He says, I take questions from you lunatics all the time. That's funny.
Right. I feel like whenever it goes in that way, in that context, it doesn't get blown up nearly as much as, a few weeks ago, he was on a plane and he had said something to one of the stewardesses or whoever it may be. And I'd seen that clip going around everywhere saying, oh, look how he's rude to this employee or so on and so forth in the media. But like I said, if he can just keep that up the way his demeanor was the other day, you won't get nearly as much backlash as you see with all the negative stuff.
And I think you're going to see him less involved. Now, he did tweet about Burt Jones yesterday or the day before about polling being really good for Burt Jones, and he is supporting Burt Jones. Burt Jones was the first elected official to come out and support him in 2015. Okay, so he's loyal to Burt Jones, and that's okay. But he's not actually saying negative things about Chris Carr. He doesn't like Raffensperger. The whole reason why he's in this race is because of Raffensperger. He wants to destroy Brad Raffensperger. He may have lost every case to Brad Raffensperger, which he did, but he still doesn't want him to move on. And what he doesn't understand is Brad doesn't need his support. Brad will do well or he won't do well, but Brad's a wealthy man and he'll be fine no matter what happens. But I think where you're going to see the president get involved is in the House and the Senate. Because let me tell you something. As much as he likes Burt Jones, he does not care who the governor of Georgia is, really. He doesn't care who the governor of any of the other 49 states are, really. He'll figure out a way to work with him because he holds the federal purse strings. And if you're a governor and you need something from the feds, you're going to have to make nice with Donald Trump. That's just the way it is for the next 3 years. So what he cares about is keeping the House and the Senate. And I guarantee you, when he first speaks to Susie Wiles in the morning and the last time he speaks to her at night, she says, Mr. President, we got to keep the House and the Senate. Because if we don't, your agenda is toast. I'm sure every day and every night he is hearing that from Susie Wiles. Because she is a smart, amazing person. And he gave a shout out to her yesterday in the cabinet meeting about what a great job she was doing. Because she's calm, cool, collected. She's the most powerful woman in America right now. And I bet every morning and every night she says, Mr. President, we've got to keep the House and the Senate. And here's what I'm hoping for. Is not only do we keep it, we expand our majorities. Even if it's only 1 or 2 seats, if we expand our majorities, because Mike Johnson has already shown that he can keep the group together. He's already shown that. And then we can take a look at what's happening, and maybe we can get to the other side here and keep these policies going. It's the Martha Zoller Show.
Hello, I'm Greg Beadles, president of Your Atlanta Falcons and also proud supporter of Eagle Ranch. My family and the Falcons have been involved with the ranch for many years. Eagle Ranch has expanded its services to meet the increased needs in our community, to include outpatient counseling, a day school program, a residential program, and other therapeutic services that are both affordable and accessible. Learn more at eagleranch.org. That's eagleranch.org.
So Pure Talk is offering unlimited talk, text, and data on a crazy fast 5G network for just $29.95 a month for life. Not your phone's life, your life. This top-tier plan is normally $65 a month, but if you switch today, you'll save over 50% every month for the rest of your life. You might say it's the deal of your lifetime. Just dial pound 250, say Mike Rowe. Offer expires 12/7. Some restrictions apply. Details at puretalk.com.
Here's the tale of the daily med fill. Same old pharmacy, same old bill, but those prices kept rising higher still.
Till the savings wrangler rode in, cool as can be. Tap Good RX, saving massively.
No plan? Don't matter none. Up to 80% off. The deals are done.
Discounts hitting harder than Ma's chili. Dang. That one little app does all the rest.
Save time and money on prescriptions.
Check Good RX. Good RX is not insurance.
WDUN is looking for the next Clark Griswold. Upload a picture of your outdoor Christmas light display at accesswdun.com. You could win a large turtle box, a stay at Lanier Islands Resort, or a downtown merchant's gift card. So light up North Georgia with Jackson EMC and North Georgia's News Talk. WDUN Gainesville, WDUN FM Clarksville, Gainesville. Always here, always local.
It's 10:30.
Fox News, I'm CJ Papa. President Trump wants to make life less costly for everyday Americans.
The president is ripping Democrats for trying to own this affordability issue, accusing them of actually causing the worst inflation in history. He's vowing now that the economy will do even better next year when his tax cuts from the big, beautiful bill take hold. He even floated no income tax, maybe even more money back in your pocket through more refunds.
Fox's Aisha Hasni at the White House. A House seat remains red in Nashville. House Speaker Mike Johnson.
We're excited about the win.
The Speaker adding,
it's actually rated to be, I would call a slightly Republican district. So winning it by 9 points is almost exactly on the nose and what we might expect. So Matt Van Epps is an extraordinary individual.
And Van Epps preventing the upset by a Democrat State Assemblywoman Efton Bain. America's listening to Fox News.
Always here, always local.
From the Access WDUN Hardy Chevrolet newsroom, I'm Steve Winslow. An investigation underway after 2 people were found dead in a home in Gwinnett County Tuesday. WDUN's Avery Bryson reports.
Gwinnett County Police said officers were called for a wellness check at the home on Clearwater Place off Lawrenceville Highway just after 11 a.m. When they arrived, they reportedly found 1 male and 1 female dead inside, with a gun also being found. No other details on the incident have been released. Police are also withholding the names of the 2 pending notification of next of kin.
City councilors in Winder decided through a 4-1 vote that they have no confidence in their mayor, Jimmy Terrell, as the decision came at a November 25th meeting when Winder Human Resources fielded questions from councilors regarding the conduct of a public officer.
For them to come every day in fear because somebody is bullying them, we as a council, we as a city should not stand for that.
That was Ward 2 Councilor Kobe Kilgore, who approved the measure. The lone councilor to vote against the vote of no confidence was at-large Councilor Taffy McCormick. And on Tuesday, Governor Brian Kemp announced that he would appoint a review commission due to Towns County Sheriff Ken Henderson's indictment. The indictment stemmed from an alleged incident in December of last year between Henderson and a Hiawassee officer. Details at Access WDUN. Now here's your Access WDUN weather forecast from meteorologist Holly Strano.
A few clouds, not hurting a thing because we're going to see afternoon sunshine. So look forward to that if you're not already seeing it. Upper 40s for highs. Mostly clear skies early with a few clouds later on tonight. Lows will be in the mid-30s. From the Access WDUN Weather Center, I'm meteorologist Holly Strano.
In Commerce, 44 degrees. In Baldwin, 41. And in Gainesville, 42. From North Georgia's News Talk, AM 550 and FM 102.9 WDUN.
I'm Frank Norton with the Norton Agency. Our family business has a legacy of honest, successful real estate brokerage. Buying or selling is an emotional and confusing process. We've been the trusted advocate for the best in home ownership. You need Norton now more than ever. Call us at 770-532-0022 or look for us on the web at gonorton.com. Our family serving North Georgia for 4 generations.
At Onward Reserve, their motto is live authentically. Every shirt, every store, every story is inspired by real moments. On the golf course, in the field, out on the lake, or gathering with friends after a long day. Discover clothing, footwear, accessories, and game day attire, all designed for making memories with the people and places you love. Visit Onward Reserve on the Gainesville Square next to WDUN. Open Monday through Saturday, 10 till 7, Sundays 12 till 5. Onward Reserve. Live authentically.
It's the Martha Zoller Show, presented by Gainesville Mechanical, from the Northeast Georgia Health System studio in downtown Gainesville on AM 550 and FM 102.9 WDUN.
This is really exciting.
Absolutely. It's a very special moment. We're making a $6.25 billion investment in America's kids through our charitable funds.
Next year, every American child will be able to get an investment account powered by Invest America.
We've seen what happens when a child gets even a small financial head start. Their world expands.
The real power of these accounts is that anyone can contribute. Parents, relatives, friends, everyone can help shape a child's future.
To philanthropists, companies, community leaders, if you want to be part of something truly meaningful for our kids, for our communities, for our country, join us.
And to parents and caregivers, stay tuned and get ready to activate your child's account. Every contribution can grow over the years, just like your child.
Together, we can make possibility something every child can count on.
And that's a future worth investing in.
It is the Martha Zoller Show, and we've been talking a lot about the Trump accounts today, and that's Michael and Susan Dell. They're going to be doing some other types of investment accounts for children 10 and under, families under $150,000 in average income. So very interesting development. We'll talk more about that. Also, Jeannie Seaver sent in that Senator Michael Williams and Bubba McDonnell were the first ones that are elected to support Burt Jones. And, I'm not going to argue with Jeannie, but he gets credit for being the first one. So we'll see how all of that goes. Maybe he was the first one whose daddy had a lot of money. I don't know. Maybe that's what it was. Randy Davidson is joining me right now from Georgia Entertainment, and we're so happy to have him here because we try to get together and talk a little bit about the entertainment business. How are you?
Martha, thank you. Thank you for always keeping this on track, and following up. We love talking to you, and we're so happy, that the creative industries, which includes film, is part of the economic development conversation now. And it's a lot of that goes to you from going way back and understanding that drives hotel nights, it drives catering business. It's a great economic tourism. It's a great economic driver. So I really appreciate you having me here again. And I have to say, before you say anything, if you guys have not seen the studio or looked through the window in the square, you've got to come down here and take a look at this. I just walked in. I'm immediately blown away. Not that the other place was not nice too. This is really,
Isn't
really
it great?
Cool.
We get to look out here. A lot of times we have kids out there going to field trips. We've got a Kilwin's ice cream right next door that they don't open till noon, but they do these candy demonstrations for field trips, and so you get to see kids going by, and so yeah, it's a great location. You feel like you're right in the middle of things,
which is so great,
which is so good. And I think you're right about the entertainment business, and it's changing here in Georgia, isn't it? Because what I'm hearing and reading is, first of all, it's been the worst movie year I think ever, and in a long time. And then there's more movies being made in Europe and places like that. So we've got more competition, don't we?
We definitely do. I mean, we've had a little run of it's been an interesting run just briefly. The pandemic stopped it all, and no production was anywhere. And then Georgia, being the leading economic, force it is in the country, was the first to open up, and we plowed through and did $4.4 billion in film right away. And then since then, there's been a couple strikes but the way film is being done has changed. People are not putting $100 million. There's less Supermans and, Avengers and things like that being done, just because the distribution channels, the way people consume it, and think about yourself and your, all of your loved ones, like how they're consuming it, they can really niche into something, and it doesn't take, 10 million people to make a story or a film a success. You can find your niche and find support around that. So it's evolving. And just you mentioned overseas. Overseas has been a very difficult challenge for all the states, not just Georgia, because going overseas, they don't have to deal with the union. They don't have a health care requirement. They are launching their own incentives that are really competitive because they understand what we chatted about at the top of this segment, which is the economic benefit of like getting a film there. And so there is a lot of competition. So we're very happy about where we are, and we can chat about that later. Our position being in the state or in the country. Georgia I'd still rather be Georgia than some of these other places.
Yeah, well, I mean, we still, of course, have Tyler Perry Studios here, and there's still Pinewood Studios here, and we've got the film school.
Well, Trilith is now.
Or Trilith is what it's called. Yeah. We've got the film school, and we're training people in those fields, and I think that's great. And but my nephew works doing sets, and he's worked on like the really big, the big Moana 2 he was on Black Panther 2 is on, you name it. And he does a lot of the CGI building, where you build these big styrofoam sets, these green sets, so that they can do the computer on that. So he does that, but he's not working as much. Mm-hmm. But you know what? Some of that's by choice. He says, Aunt Marnie, I have been working 24/7 for the last 7 years, and I want to so he just picks up projects that are like 3 months long, and then he builds furniture in between.
I tell you what, the workforce in Georgia has evolved, with this changing of how productions are done. I have a lot of friends in this industry that are taking advantage of Georgia being a great spot for conventions and conferences to come to, because guess what they're doing? They are building a stage. They are putting lights up. They are memorializing that conference. They're live streaming it. They're documenting it. So a lot of the people in this industry have compensated for the work and the less $50 million productions and so forth by riding on the coattails of another area that is driving growth in Georgia, and that is Georgia is a great spot for folks to come here and to hold their annual meetings, their annual conferences, and so forth. And I know I've got to mention this because I know last year you tried to come to our Signature 100, which we held at Assembly Studios, which is an example of what Georgia's film credit has done for the state. That was a vacant spot for 9 years, and Gray Media, Hilton Howell, and those guys, they put 22 sound stages out there, and so we had our event there last year, and you couldn't come last year. This year, our Signature 100 next Thursday is at Trilith Live, which is a $400 million development in the town at Trilith. They've already got 32 stages, but Trilith Live is an amphitheater. They're doing game shows there right now. The 1% Club is shooting there. And we are the first event that is going to be inside of Trilith Live. And I'd like to invite you to attend if you can.
So what is happening with movies? Because it seems to me it's a little bit like, we're old enough to remember, Tuesday night at the movies on ABC or whatever it was, and they do first-run movies on TV. And so, for example, Wicked, the follow-up to Wicked came out this week, and a few months ago, you were able to start watching Wicked on Peacock. Okay, so you didn't have to go to the theater. And I'm a Downton Abbey fan. I went to the movies. I went to the theater and saw Downton Abbey. I spent like $1 million. No, I did not really. But between the ticket, I even got senior tickets. But between the tickets and my popcorn and my just for me sitting by myself in the theater, was like $50. It's expensive. It's not cheap. Okay. Right. And not that it should be cheap, but it should be more affordable for families. You're going to take 4 kids to see Moana 2. It's going to be, 2 parents and 2 kids, it's going to cost you $150 to do that if you get the popcorn and the drinks and all that stuff. So it seems like they're really releasing it to streaming quickly. And so I know they get paid for that too, but it does deter people, I think, from going to the movie theater. So is the movie theater done?
No, the movie theater's not done. Definitely not done. There's lots of directors that are requiring a movie release instead of going to streaming. Yes. So and they know that they have a big fan base for the surround sound for the experience. But the economics of it generally, though, the facts are that more and more of the content is streamed and it is watched at home. It is watched on YouTube. It is, and you ask what's happening with the movie industry in Georgia, and really that's what's happening at places like Trilith, like Shadowbox, like Cinelise, and Assembly. They are really trying to niche up to smaller independent creators. Mm-hmm. For example, you've got American High, which just signed a deal with a studio here in Georgia at Trilith. they're not even on TV or in the movies really, or but they have a production schedule like no other, and they are producing for their core and niche audience. Tyler Perry's another great example. I mean, he's got his core audience. He's running right into his niche that he wants to serve, and they've got programs and they're shooting all the time. So really, I feel like Georgia's next evolution is that we invest in our own creators, our own stories, and we take this soft power of being able to share our own stories and culture from the South, and that's what we talk about when we go to Cannes and Sundance and all these other places is, the Southern hospitality that we have here, the stories we have here. We're a great place for creators. We're a great place for you to bring your products. We have great workforce. So I feel like we're still in great shape. I mean, we're shooting Tulsa King season 4 here. We've got Will Trent is still here. We're doing the Gates soap opera. So we're busy. I mean, it's just that we have a lot of competition, not only in from other states, but really mainly, as you mentioned, around the world.
So we had, it was 3 or 6 months ago, we had Sylvester Stallone down the street here doing a segment there, which is kind of interesting because he seems like he's having a little comeback.
Yeah, he is.
Yeah.
He is.
A little Rocky moment.
Yeah, and this area right here in Gainesville, Morgan and Regina and all the team here, they're at events trying to recruit productions, letting them know that this community here is very friendly to film. We want you to come. We want you to show our assets in this town, and there are many assets in this town. So that's what it takes, because what happens is you get a production here, you get those nights in the hotel, you get the catering, not just catering for a day, but catering for 2 weeks, like a different type of project. You got other professional services, and then Martha, the Holy Grail is you strike something with like a Vampire Diaries or a Walking Dead, where you have Walking Dead's got coming up on 2 decades of a town that was changed.
Mm-hmm.
And it's clean tourism, it's clean growth. People come in, spend their money, stay in your shops, shop, and go. So that's like the Holy Grail of really, in my opinion, why communities like Hall County and Gainesville and even South Georgia and Columbus and Savannah, they're all still in the game because
So we're going to take a break. When we come back, we'll talk more about some new projects that you have, and also we'll talk again about this meeting he's got coming up next month or next week. We'll be back on the Martha Zoller Show.
Fuel our discussions with your opinions.
We need to talk about common sense here.
We're the station that gives you a voice.
It's my local station.
We're North Georgia's News Talk, AM 550 and FM 102.9 WDUN.
Christmas is a season of giving. This is Mike Cormier, General Manager of Hardy Chevrolet. I know that giving is a challenge this year. That is why it's more important than ever. Hardy Chevrolet is a drop-off location for the Marine Corps Reserve's Toys for Tots program. Please come by and drop off a new unwrapped toy. With the help of local community agencies and churches, Marines will distribute them to needy children throughout our area. Help make this a Merry Christmas for all. And I'd like to extend best wishes of the season from all of us at Hardy Chevrolet, Brownsbridge Road in Gainesville.
Shopping for your spouse on the holidays is tough, especially when your spouse is Santa and his little elves can make him whatever he wants.
We can make it for Santa, Santa, Santa!
Once, I knitted him a tummy control onesie to get down chimneys, and the elves one-upped me and made him a magical shrinking suit.
And we're awesome!
Like a big poinsettia blossom. It's like I can't win. But then I did win. I found the holiday scratchers from the Georgia lottery, and those pesky elves can't make that. You hear that, elves?
Give the gift of up to $3 million with the holiday scratchers from the Georgia Lottery. Please play responsibly. Always check and sign your ticket.
Do you want to be one of Georgia's first 3 millionaires of 2026? You could when you play the new Georgia Millionaire Scratcher and enter the second chance promotion for a drawing on New Year's. So grab a Georgia Millionaire Scratcher from the Georgia Lottery at your favorite retailer today.
Tune in to WSB Channel 2 for your official Georgia Lottery drawing and check out the Players Club at GALottery.com.
My Patriot Supply, America's most trusted survival food company, wishes you and yours a very Merry Christmas. As our gift to you, we've got an amazing deal on survival food kits. Buy one, gift two. That's right, for a limited time, when you grab our best-selling 4-week emergency food kit, we'll include 2 one-week kits free to hand out as gifts. That's 4 weeks of emergency food for you, and 2 ready-to-give gifts for anyone on your list who's into preparedness, or anyone who needs a nudge in that direction. But they're only available for a limited time. Grab yours at mypatriotsupply.com and give the gift of food security this Christmas. With 2,000 calories per day, 16 delicious meal and snack varieties, and up to 25-year shelf life, it's no wonder our 4-week food kit is the best-selling emergency food supply of all time. But the buy one, give two Christmas special won't last long. So claim yours now at mypatriotsupply.com. That's mypatriotsupply.com.
Always here, always local.
From the Access WDUN Hardy Chevrolet newsroom, 2 people are dead from apparent gunshot wounds inside a home in Gwinnett County Tuesday. Details at Access WDUN and coming up on North Georgia's News Talk.
Use the Access WDUN Talk and Text line, presented by M&R Rental at 770-535-2911, and be part of the conversation. From the Northeast Georgia Health System studio in downtown Gainesville, it's the Martha Zoller Show on AM 550 and FM 102.9 WDUN.
It is the Martha Zoller Show, and I'm here with Randy Davidson from Georgia Entertainment. And before we talk about your new venture, I want to talk a little bit about the purpose of the event for next week. And tell us more about that studio, because I called it Pinewood. You corrected me because, you know, I'm an old James Bond fan. That's why I called it that. But go ahead with that.
Well, have you been down there, Martha, to the town of Trillis? Okay.
Yeah.
All right, good. So you know, it's Dan Cathy's vision, you know, of the Cathy family of Chick-fil-A, and they have built an incredible town there. You know, all the businesses there donate back into the community. There's the studios there. There's a Trillis Institute, Trillis Foundation, and now Trillis Live. And every year when we do our Signature 100 event, we pick a place that's really unique. And this year we knew this was coming online, Trillis Live, and we knew the investment that they were making in there, and they asked us to have our event there. So we will have 800 people there. It's who's who. It's invite only. We have folks from LA, New York, and around the country coming in for this event. And we have last year we had 50 legislators. I mean, it's a very powerful group of folks that come into this area.
So it's next Thursday night?
It's next Thursday night, yes. And so you can email me if you're interested in an invitation and receiving one. We'd love to have you there. We give away the Creative Champion of the Year that evening, the Entertainment Entrepreneur of the Year that evening, and we release our next edition of our Creative Economy Journal, which is a very beautiful piece that was done by the future creative workforce of Georgia, SCAD students. So we're using, they designed last year's, and they did wait till you see this thing. It's so pretty. We have one for you that will be delivered up here. So it's a great time for us to sort of reflect back. It's just ahead of the legislative session, which you know to me is an important thing. We're not only covering this, we are trying to educate and advocate that the creative industries is not just an, oh, by the way, nice thing for a community to have or a state to have. It's part of economic development.
Well, and you've got to be paying attention to all the discussion around the election and eliminating the state income tax, which would mean eliminating a lot of these tax credits that are being done. And I just don't know how they're going to make. I'm in favor of lower taxes. I'm in favor of.
Absolutely.
We're surrounded by states that either have lower income tax than we do or have no income tax. Now, they have higher sales tax. They have higher property tax. They have higher gasoline tax. You're going to have to get it some way. But I'm sure you're watching that very closely.
Oh, yeah, absolutely. I mean, we're very friendly with all of the legislators. Like I just mentioned, we'll have a bunch of them at our events. You know, we have great relationships with both sides of the aisle. I mean, in the film and entertainment industry, every time there's a vote on something that makes it to the House or the Senate, it's a landslide, which you cannot find that in California, New York, whatever. It's like 200 and something. I've added it up. 200 to, there's like 24 people in our elected legislature currently that won't really vote for anything like that. So, you know, I know you've talked ad nauseum about the income tax, no income tax, and you know, if that indeed does pick up steam and move downfield further, you know, because there are a lot of obstacles for it to happen, and I'm for lower taxes too. You know, it's not that you still can't have incentives to recruit a Rivian to the state or to keep an industry like the film industry employed. It does make it challenging because they immediately become things that can get into the narrative. And so my hope and my job really is to make sure that we right-size that narrative to make sure that, hey, just because we have a film credit and there's no income tax, that doesn't mean that two can't coexist. It just means there is a path that needs to be aligned and moved down collaboratively with that same bipartisan support that we've always had.
Well, and I think that it's a good, clean business, and it brings a lot of good jobs here. And I think that what a lot of people don't understand, they think about movies in terms of the two A-list actors that are in the movie. They are the least important people in this mix. I remember I got the former president of Tyler Perry Studios, who passed away last year.
Steve, yeah.
Yes. He invited me to come down and tour after I made this comment on a podcast that, yeah, they may be the most visible people, but the people that make the decisions are the bean counters, the accountants, the people that handle the money. They're the people that make the decisions. And what they don't realize is, yes, they may still import the two A-list actors from wherever. Most of the people that are working on this set are from Georgia.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
I mean, we just held, Netflix spent $480 million on the last season of Stranger Things. $480 million. I think it might be the most that's ever been spent, or among the top spent even on feature films. They did a special showing in Atlanta at SCAD Show. They had crew there, and for our private screening, there was no actors or A-list. And tons of legislators came to that. They see that these are the jobs that our kids want to get involved with. You turn your back on this industry, you're turning your back on the future
Well, and
workforce.
that's one thing we're doing a better job on. I'm on the State Board of Education, and we have greatly expanded our CTAE, which is Career Technology, Agriculture Education, and the film part of that, the kind of preparation to go to the film school that you have is better in the elementary school and high school levels now. There are things that kids can participate in because parents need to know what those jobs are. Kids need to know what those jobs are to be able to consider them. And so I think we're doing a really good job here on all those levels. And these are jobs that you can get out, get a minimal amount of training, and get out and start making money.
Absolutely.
And it's good.
Absolutely. And even upstream from film, Martha, is creativity. So, I'm talking game. They may go into gaming, music, fashion, et cetera, et cetera. So it's even beyond film. It's our kids today are more creative than our generation ever thought of being.
So we have a new project coming up, though. Tell us a little bit about that. We got a couple of minutes left.
Martha, thanks for letting me share this. So we're launching Georgia Insider, which is a publication that will be for you and the governor and legislators and the CEOs of top organizations in Georgia. If your business or organization is impacted by policy, we feel like there's a niche and a need for a statewide publication that comes out every day, an intel sheet. You must read this to know what's going on. And I'm excited about our team that we've done. And for me, it helps me leverage like all the relationships that I have, within Georgia Entertainment, because it's some of the same people, the same legislators, the same businesses that are supporting that. This business will widen that lens and sort of give a policy business focus, and that is what we're launching on January the 12th. I'd love for any of your listeners, if they're interested in following along, they can go to georgiainsider.com and enter their email address, and they will be added.
So we're so glad to have Randy here with us today. Randy Davidson, he always keeps us up to date on what's happening. Thank you.
Thank you, Martha.
We'll be back tomorrow. We're always here, always local.
The views expressed on the Martha